In studio by Thokozani Chilenga Butoa, an associate lecturer at the University of the Witwatersrand. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. How would you describe President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address last night?
I think it was consistent considering the State of the Nation address he gave earlier this year in February. There were 5 main points that he focused on there, and there were similar 7 main points that he focused on here. I think that it was a bit underwhelming for those who were upset about the bullet trains and the dreaming that he had. But I think what we need to look at is whether he'll be able to follow through what was outlined earlier and what was outlined last night after being democratically elected by the majority in this country.
He spoke about Eskom and helping with that over 230 billion rand that they'll need over the next 10 years. But we're still in the dark about who is a possible new CEO and who's also going to be leading that restructuring process at Eskom.
He tried to allay those questions and those fears by saying that there is a task team that is working on those issues, including finding a CEO and a chief restructuring officer. So if there's work going on in the background, we should be able to hear soon who those individuals are and hopefully have more confidence in Eskom and where it will be taking us as a country after that.
Something that's been, whenever we speak about the economy and investors, the issue of land restitution, land expropriation and changing the constitution is coming up. Did he deal widely with the issue of land last night? He
didn't deal with land widely. He opened with, reminiscing about Sol Plaatje and what happened with the Land Act. He spoke about the fact that it's being looked at, but he didn't go into enough detail, even with a few sentences. And I think that was clear by the EFF's criticism, saying that the ANC seems to have done an about turn, so used land as a trump card to win in the elections, but not actually mentioning what the plans are going forward within the State of the Nation address.
Mm-hmm. Something he's focused on before is this youth employment scheme or service. Yesterday promising over 100,000 jobs for youth and about 2 million jobs in the longer term. We're sitting at an unemployment rate of over 27%. Should we believe that he's capable of doing anything with an economy that's contracted by 3.2% in the last quarter?
I think the proof will be in the implementation. He did mention in the speech that implementation is what a lot of South Africans have been complaining about. He mentioned how different parliamentary members have been, given an assignment to go around the country and ask, what is it that we're doing wrong? And implementing is going to be where we see whether those jobs manifest. He mentioned industry sectors, so we're wondering whether there'll be some sort of industrialization plan. He mentioned agriculture, and he did mention mining. And as we know, we've been waiting for this mining charter to be finalized. So maybe he's thinking that a lot of the jobs will come from those sectors, but how that implementation makes sure that that happens is what we're all waiting to see.
Mm-hmm. Also spoke about data costs going down, an issue that many people are concerned with.
So in terms of data, he did mention that he's spoken to, or that the Minister of Communications will be speaking to ICASA and putting forward that mandate to do with the spectrum licenses, etc. And data has been a very concerning issue because it's been a barrier to entry for a lot of things, whether it's people looking for jobs, submitting CVs, communications, going forward with technology. So hopefully we will see data falling in that regard and there being tangible change with costs to data.
Mm-hmm. The reaction from opposition parties and some people online and commentators was around this thing of he's dreaming, and these things are quite far-fetched. How important is it for you as a president to not only deal with the current issues that you're facing and survivalist issues, but also to try and bring people in a vision of a South Africa that you want to see?
It's very important, and we have to remember that the State of the Nation address is not going to have the amount of detail that we want. It can't always be somber and depressing. There has to be some sort of vision, and that's what he put forward. I think what opposition parties have to make sure they do now is look at the State of the Nation addresses and look at action that is going to be put in place and keep him accountable for that, because that's the only way we'll really be able to see the State of the Nation address playing a role in people's everyday lives.
got a new speaker in the National Assembly, and when she was asked about what she sees the sixth administration looking like, she spoke about order and decorum coming back. Seemed yesterday as though that vision might be realized.
Yes, to some extent. The EFF did say, and they have led a lot of the disruptions, they did say that, you know what, sometimes it's time to sit back and see whether the enemy will self-destruct and not always use that tactic of disruptions. But I think Thandi Modise, when we saw her co-chairing in the past, was able to keep some sort of order and make it clear that that is her role, and she'll make sure that she'll continue to do that.
Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Thokozani Chilenga Butoa, an associate lecturer at the University of the Witwatersrand, joining me in studio there to take a look back at SONA. Arabile, it's over to you.